Okay, good. Hello everyone. Bonjour. Bon dia. Je suis Ms Micheline Kaboré et je suis la directrice exécutive de l'initiative Pananetugri pour le bien-être de la femme IPBF. C'est une organisation régionale basée au Burkina Faso, une organisation féministe qui travaille sur les questions de leadership et de l'empowerment des jeunes filles et des jeunes femmes. C'est un plaisir et un honneur pour moi d'être aux côtés d'imminentes personnes pour animer ce panel sur l'empowerment mother and child survival, the powerful impact of maternal education, income and agency. Alors, je vais m'entretenir avec vous en français, mais avant tout propos, je vais présenter les personnes qui sont avec moi à ce panel. J'ai nommé la professeure Hadiza Galadanci. Elle est directrice fondatrice du Centre d'excellence africain sur la santé et la politique. Elle est professeure d'Obstetrics et Gynecologie à l'université Bayero au Nigeria. Ensuite, j'ai à mes côtés, à gauche, Dr Shamsuddin Yanaha, Shally Awasthi, doyenne à l'université et responsable de la pédiatrie au niveau de l'Inde. Et enfin, nous avons Madame Chika Offor. Elle est directrice exécutive de Vaccine Network of Disease Control. Alors, merci et bienvenue. Il faut dire que l'une des relations les plus fortes dans la littérature sur la survie de l'enfant est plus que la mère est en bonne santé, instruite et autonome, moins un enfant est susceptible de mourir avant l'âge de 5 ans. Malgré ces preuves et encore plus révélatrices des nombreux obstacles auxquels les mères sont confrontées lorsqu'elles sont investies dans les soins de santé pour leurs enfants, le secteur de la santé investit peu de ressources dans l'alphabétisation des mères, le renforcement de leurs capacités et l'augmentation de leurs revenus. Alors, quel type de politique et d'investissement dans les mères amélioreront leur vie et surtout augmenteront également les chances de survie d'un enfant? Donc, avec mes imminentes invités, nous allons nous entretenir autour de cette question en lien avec la santé de la mère et la survie de l'enfant. Et premièrement, je vais donner la parole à Dr Hadiza qui va nous parler de la survie de l'enfant qui est liée à la santé de la mère. Pouvez-vous, s'il vous plaît, nous décrire les conséquences pour un enfant qui perd sa mère avant l'âge de 5 ans ou pour une mère qui est malade pendant les 5 premières années de la vie de l'enfant?
Thank you very much, our moderator, and a very good afternoon to the participants. Yes, as you have said, there is a close relationship between the mother and the child health. And as we have heard this morning, that almost 600,000 children are dying yearly from child death. The same countries that have these high rates of child death also have high rates of maternal mortality. We know that almost about 800 women actually die every day from maternal causes. And we should remember that a lot of the maternal causes have complications to the fetus and complications to the neonate. At the end of the day, the baby might even be a stillbirth, or the baby might even die with the mother. And we know that almost 47% of babies, actually 47% of causes of under 5 death are as a result of neonatal death. Therefore, the literature has really shown that if you take care of the health of the mother, then at the end of the day, you take care of the health of the baby. Now, even for the complications that lead to maternal death, You're talking about eclampsia, hypertensive disorders of pregnancy, you're talking about severe anemia, you're talking about obstructed labor, you're talking about sepsis. At the end of the day, the babies that these mothers deliver, if they deliver them alive, will end up having complications in early neonatal period and probably, in fact, lose them. Almost 80 to 90% of babies that are born by a mother that dies actually also die. And then 50%, those that survive have 50% higher risk of dying, even when they survive. Now, why is it that when they survive, they also die? We've heard, late morning talking about malnutrition. I mean, if the mother is not there, then who breastfeeds the baby? A lot of times it's actually, the father cannot be the caregiver. It's actually extended family. And in the countries where we have this high maternal mortality and child health, we don't have a structured social system that can actually take care of these orphans. So they're taken care of by their grandparents, by aunties, the mothers, sisters. And these are the people that cannot really probably breastfeed. And therefore, these children are at high risk of malnutrition. They're the ones that will end up with being at risk of having pneumonia. Even when they survive that, they are the same ones that will not get education. They're the same ones that will not get immunized. If there is no mother, who would take the child for immunization? It's the mother that will insist she takes her child for immunization. So if they're with caregivers, they might not even get immunized, and they're not going to get educated. And they're going to go through the cycle of poverty. That if they're women or girls, then they're the same ones that will also go through maternal morbidity and mortality. So the cycle continues. So the way to break the cycle, one way to break the cycle is actually improving the health of the mother. If you improve the health of the mother, should take care of herself, should take care of the child, should take care of the family, should take care of the community, and therefore, at the end of the day, we'll have a healthy community. Thank you.
Merci beaucoup, Dr Hadiza, pour votre intervention. Je retiens qu'il y a un lien très étroit entre la santé de la mère et de l'enfant et qu'il faut prendre soin de la femme enceinte avant de s'occuper du bébé parce que c'est la maman qui s'occupe et qui nourrit le bébé et que dans les 5 premières années de vie du bébé, la présence de la mère est très, très importante. Merci beaucoup. Nous allons passer la parole au professeur Shally qui a beaucoup travaillé sur les obstacles à la recherche de soins de santé pour un enfant présentant des symptômes de la pneumonie en naine. Donc, dites-nous ce que vous avez appris sur le rôle de la mère et ce dont elle a besoin pour pouvoir offrir à son enfant le bon type de soins et de santé avant qu'il ne soit trop tard pour sauver l'enfant.
Thank you very much, moderator, and I would like to thank the organizers and all of you who are here today to listen to our experiences. Now, what are the barriers to health seeking in India when a mother has a child with pneumonia? So let us see the structure. The mother is the first person who understands the child is not well. She doesn't need a third party to say that your child is not well. The child is either having fever, coughing, runny nose. And then what happens in the family is an informal triage. Whosoever seems to be less sick, just coughing, runny nose, the grandmother, the grandfather, or the father would say, let's go with the home remedies, which work in majority of the cases because this is self-limiting episode, the child becomes well. But come day 2, day 3, fever becomes higher, the child stops moving, the child stops feeding. Then what she does? Then there is a barrier. Where should she go? She goes to the health provider with which the family is comfortable. This health provider is in the village, and many a times this health provider is not educated but trusted by the family because this person has treated many and will give treatment without finance at this point. Money can come in later. Now, when the child becomes worse, then they rush to a private provider. And the 4th provider or the 5th provider is a qualified provider in a government setup where the care can be given to the child. It was just the other week in my outpatients department in a tertiary care center, we got a 4-month child brought by 4 people in the family. Respiratory rate was 70 plus, saturation was 78% by pulse oximetry. They were refusing admission. We intervened and made them stay, and on the second day the child became all right. The same path was followed by this child. So the second part she asks me is, what needs to be done so that the mother can reach or the family can reach the right healthcare provider? There a lot of community interventions are being given. You heard in the morning that there is a program for pneumonia control, the SARS program. Now we need the health givers and health providers to speak the same language, describe about the symptoms and the danger signs of pneumonia. But what I personally believe needs strengthening is all the community and members should know what are the government policies, what are the government programs, what can benefit them, and how they should get benefit from these areas. Because even though there is a lot we can offer, the mothers are not aware, and lack of knowledge disempowers them for demanding the right health care. And another thing which we require is to foster linkages between health givers and health providers, not only at the village level, but above the village level where mother gave birth, and even above that level where there is facility for oxygen and giving intravenous fluids, so that we cut the time in delay. So what I would say is that what is required is empowerment for healthcare, which is not just limited to telling them knowledge about the disease, but knowledge about what you can do, what the country is offering, what the program is offering, and you can demand it. Many a times they don't know it. Over to you, madam.
Merci beaucoup, professeur, et merci pour le partage de ces informations très, très importantes dans la prise en charge de la santé de l'enfant, qui fait appel à plusieurs acteurs, c'est ce que j'ai compris, en plus de la mère qui prend soin des enfants dès les 5 premières années de sa vie. Il y a le système de santé, et nous nous rendons compte que dans le cadre de l'accès à ces soins de santé, il y a des difficultés qu'il faut apprendre à surmonter en incluant et les fournisseurs et la population et également les acteurs de santé. Merci encore à Chika Offor qui est responsable d'un réseau de vaccination sur la santé au Nigeria. Qu'entendez-vous des mères au sujet de la vaccination et des enfants, et qu'aimeriez-vous que le gouvernement et les agences de santé mondiales sachent sur la manière d'aider les mères à faire vacciner leurs enfants? Les questions de vaccination.
Thank you very much. Before I start, it's an opportunity to even be here and tell you what we are going through. However, I want to say congratulations to all of us. We are here in this space at this time, no COVID-19, nobody's wearing mask. It tells you immediately that vaccine is freedom. Another name for vaccination is freedom, you know. So because it was such a shock coming here and I just saw everybody, nobody's wearing mask and we're talking, hugging, you know. And what are we talking about today? The same vaccination. You know, it's really great. And then here, what are mothers saying? There's some mothers that do not want to vaccinate their children. As a mother, ask yourself this question. Why should a mother who loves her children not vaccinate her children? That's a deep question. Because if there's one thing you know for sure is that mothers love their children. I love my kids. However, when a woman does not take her child to the health center for vaccination, something is wrong. And that thing is called knowledge. She doesn't know. She doesn't know that vaccines save lives and save money. She doesn't have access, doesn't have money to go to the health center. The health center is probably very far. She cannot walk 20 miles. She doesn't have the capacity, the well-being to take certain decisions. She doesn't have the power. These are all the reasons. And then she doesn't trust the system. And then the COVID-19 showed us that the world did not consider us women. Because immediately the vaccines came, they didn't tell us how it affected women. They didn't tell us how it affected her hormones. It didn't tell us how it was going to affect pregnant women. They didn't tell us, so at the end of the day, you go and take the COVID-19. One doctor is telling you it's good for pregnant women. Another one is saying pregnant women should not take it. Another one is saying my hormones are going up and down. I'm a young girl of 18. I want to have children at 25. So should I take the vaccine or should I not? We didn't have those kind of information early enough, which means that we don't trust that the system take us into consideration in the planning of these things. So that's the truth. And then now, these women are the ones in charge of the children that you want to vaccinate. So what are we supposed to do? There's a problem. Let them know in a simple way. And for them to know is also put them in the planning. Let them know from the beginning that, look, we want to do this thing. What are your thoughts? How should we go about this? You know, people always feel good when they've contributed to something. And then when they feel that a certain portion of that thing, you know, I contributed. In fact, I'm the one that gave that opinion. That is what you should do. And then for logistics, if you have to go to the health center, let there be provision for logistics. There are many NGOs who work closely with the community. Align with them. Integration of services, integration of ideas, integration of activities, integration of women, integration of CSOs and NGOs coming together, because many times we work in silos. So today they will come to the community, talk about nutrition. Tomorrow another NGO will come, talk about vaccination. Next tomorrow another one will come, talk about gender. We are confusing them. What we should do is integration. Like now, there's a product in Nigeria called the whole family approach. It talks about, in one single visit, mother, father, teenage child, little baby, go to the health center and get all the health needs that are necessary. The father will take his COVID-19 vaccine, check his BP level, check his sugar level. The mother will check her reproductive services, also take the vaccines that she needs. The teenage child will take her HPV vaccine, and then the babies will also take their vaccine. It means that vaccination becomes planned as a family thing. And then it makes vaccination interesting in the sense that now it becomes like a family outing. Oh, this date, all of us as a family will go to the health center and then we'll take the vaccine. And then guess what? It is an incentive that isn't money. When you now get to the facility, the second one, which is now the supply side, let the facility be ready to receive all of them. Another approach called adopt a facility. Very easy to please women. We're easy to please, aren't we? We are easy to please. Adopt a facility simply means let the facility have all it needs so that when we get to the facility, the woman will be able to check her reproductive services. She'll be treated in a very courteous fashion. The daddy will also receive his own needs so that it will not be an obstruction to her taking the children to the health center. So you see, the demand side and the supply side is catered for. And you know the good thing about this thing I'm telling you, such a simple thing, is that the government cannot do it alone. We know that. Nobody can do it alone. We all have to come together to do it together. We now had a PPP approach. And of course, it was a small project I had with UN Foundation. And then guess what? You will not believe what happened. We decided to get women and told them to adopt facilities, health centers. And because I wanted it to succeed, I went straight to women who had small businesses. And all the women adopted facilities. Today, many facilities are being renovated. Some facilities, somebody's just giving the facility a BP machine. And because of that, we immediately have a citizens' accountability mechanism. Because if I have supported the facility, I will hold that facility accountable. That is it. Once you get the processes right, everything becomes easy. Thank you.
Merci beaucoup, Chika, pour ces expériences qui sont partagées, qui font ressortir l'importance d'impliquer toutes les couches de la société et surtout de prendre en compte les obstacles liés à l'accès des femmes et de la famille aux soins de santé. Merci. Je pense que des 3 interventions, nous retenons qu'il est important pour prendre en charge la santé de l'enfant, d'impliquer les mamans, de prendre en compte leur santé, de prendre en compte les besoins, de fournir également l'accès à l'information qui manque bien sûr dans l'accès aux soins de santé. Et professeur Shally a fait ressortir aussi l'importance des soins et de l'accès aux informations des soins de santé. Et je pense que lors de ce panel, nous allons donner la possibilité de poser des questions. Donc, nous allons aborder la seconde phase avant de revenir vous donner la parole pour des questions si vous en avez. Donc, je reviens encore à professeur Hadiza pour la seconde phase. À votre avis, quelle est l'importance du niveau d'éducation d'une femme pour sa propre santé et pour celle de son enfant? Pourquoi nous ne voyons pas plus d'investissement dans l'alphabétisation des femmes et en particulier dans la littérature en santé et comment vraiment procéder lorsque la plupart des femmes adultes ne sont pas connectées à l'éducation?
I think this question just follows what Chika has just said. Chika has just mentioned that one of the most important barriers to actually accessing health is lack of knowledge. So when our girls and our women are not educated, they don't have the knowledge, then there's no way they will utilize the system. It's been shown over and over that the health of the woman is directly also related to her own health and to the health of her children, as well as the health of the family. It is only an educated girl that will access antenatal care. And we know that antenatal care is key to ensuring that you have a healthy mother and a healthy baby. It's only an educated girl or woman that will have access to skilled birth attendant when she comes to deliver. It's only an educated girl or an empowered girl that will have access to emergency obstetric care. When she has all the 5 complications that I mentioned that will either kill her and her baby, or kill her and kill the baby later, or in fact, if the baby survives, he still dies before the age of 5 years. So it's only an educated mother. Unfortunately, education is still a challenge to many of our young girls and our women. Still in countries where I come from, like in Nigeria, the lack of education can be as high as 30 to 40% of our women. Even though there is inequality, in some states lack of education is as low as 10%, while in some others it is as high as 50, 60%. So there is inequality as far as education of the girl child is concerned. And those that are not educated are the most vulnerable. They're the ones that are poor, they're the ones that are in the rural area, they're the ones that will not access facility and will not access any health care at the end of the day. And if a girl or a woman does not access any health facility when she's pregnant and when she delivers, there is no way she's going to access that facility when she has a sick child. She has to get involved with the system. She has to trust the system. She mentioned one of the barriers can be mistrust. So if she doesn't trust the system during the antenatal period or during the delivery period or postpartum period, then there is no way she's going to trust the system and bring her child. It's the same educated woman that will also use child spacing methods that we know have great impact on the survival of the child, because then the baby is going to be breastfed till the time he requires to have additional feeding, and therefore will be able to survive. And it's the same educated woman or educated girl that would take her children for immunization. So we can see that education is key. Education, and it is education that empowers the woman. Yes, it's beyond education. They also need economic empowerment. But it's when you're educated that you'll be able to have something to do. When you have the access to funds, that's when you can empower yourself. When you talked about, why is it that we're not investing as much. When you're talking about health, we always think maybe health is one, but thank God we're realizing that, you know, for you to address the healthcare of a nation or healthcare of a community, it goes beyond the health system. It is a multi-sectoral. So you need investment. The government has to invest. You need political will. You need leadership and accountability. You need the educational system to really be part of the multi-sectoral approach to trying to address the health of the children, the mothers and the children. So there must be a multi-sectoral partnership. Everybody comes on board. And that is why I think this forum is great, because we have different aspects of, you know, the stakeholders that are talking to each other. We're no more, you know, behaving in silos, as we have had since morning. We've got to come together. And then apart from education, you also need health education. Wherever we are, whether we're in the market, when we have women group, they should educate the women. Where it is in a religious setting, let's have health education. In a community setting, let's have health education. So it goes beyond just the literacy of 1, 2, 3, 4, A, B, C, D. It goes beyond that so that we can have at least health education so that our women will be educated, take care of themselves, take care of their children, and at the end of the day, take care of the family. Thank you.
Merci beaucoup, docteur, d'insister encore sur le lien entre le leadership, l'autonomisation et l'éducation de la femme dans sa santé, dans la santé de l'enfant et dans la santé de toute la famille. Je pense que vous avez tout dit et c'est très, très riche et aussi important, ces espaces qui nous donnent l'opportunité d'aborder ces questions et de discuter de toutes ces éléments, discuter de tout cela. Alors, Professeur Shally, votre recherche a révélé que trop souvent, ce n'est pas la mère qui prend la décision de prendre un enfant malade pour des soins ou les finances pour payer ses soins. Avez-vous vu des initiatives spécifiques qui peuvent briser ces barrières pour les mères, comme par exemple des ambulances gratuites? C'est le cas de l'Inde pour l'intervention de Dr. Shally.
Thank you very much. Based on the work we have done in India, what could be the solutions, what can be done at the level for women to take right decisions, to have the right information. The first thing I told you was when the child is not so sick, her first preference is a health provider in the village. Now, we have a health provider in the village. We can empower this woman in the village to have a pneumonia drug kit. We had a pneumonia drug kit with medicines, antibiotics, fever information card, fever medicine, danger signs. And believe me, the mothers took the medicine, used the medicine, and the child became well. There were good responses. Currently, if we just give them 1 bottle of antibiotic, 1 bottle of antipyretic, without right packaging, without right information for the mother, the antibiotics, antipyretics will not be used as they are meant to be used. So we need to package a kit for pneumonia to be kept in the village, which the mothers can be given. But the second thing which I'm hearing everyone say is we need health systems strengthening. This health system strengthening is very specific and unique for each country, for each regions within the country. But what I envisage is that a time has come where we can have health by geographic areas, promote health by geographic areas, by mapping the facilities within geographic areas, linking families, as you were saying, with those facilities, make them familiar with the facilities, and not only make them familiar with the facilities, we ensure that there is a linkage between the healthcare providers and the healthcare givers during time of health as well as during time of illness, so that they know the person who is the face behind the telephone or who I will meet when I reach the health facility, so that there is no surprise. And of course, that there will always be a provider there when I reach. But then we have unique situations in each country, And we have, as you were mentioning, public-private partnership. We have a strong private sector playing. A time has come to link public-private partnership in a geographic area to provide health care based on the burden of disease in that area. And with that public-private partnership, we could have a telephonic triage where with triage, the child goes to the facility, be it public or be it private, that will provide care, that will save the child. What happens is the child goes from facility to facility, facility to facility. The child that reached me with 78% oxygen saturation came with 5 persons going from one private to the second private to the third private facility. And in my government hospital said, I'm not willing for admission. I said, why? I have no money. I said, we don't charge money. Please, admission fees is 5 rupees. I said, that also we won't charge. So that situation should not arise. The second point is, which is equally important for some countries, is that when we do this mapping, we can have performance audits and accountabilities. And when the 2030 is not so far off, we can achieve those targets very quickly. Now, the other thing which I would like to say is that we have in our country at least, health insurance. That is health insurance and a family health insurance. But in that gamut of family health insurance, a pediatrician feels that the child is missed. They come to us, and what happens? Child's name is not there. That the child's name is different as you've registered and the name there is different. So perhaps a time has come when those first 5 years are the most crucial years. Can we not think of certain innovative modifications? Can we not have a child insurance if required and de-link it from the family insurance and merge it slowly as the time progresses? So there are many things, and if I link with what I told you first, that we have to have right information, right person, right time, and this information would lead to empowerment for healthcare. It would lead to demand generation. And at the same time, we are strengthening our supply chain, incorporating the private sectors, holding them accountable. And I'm sure that in all countries, we will have under 5 mortality in single digits. Over, ma'am.
Merci beaucoup, professeur. Et je pense que dans l'intervention qui a été présentée, il est important de briser les obstacles à l'accès aux soins de santé pour la mère, pour les enfants, et surtout réduire au maximum les erreurs dans les offres de santé, donner le maximum d'informations et aussi associer les soins de santé privés pour pallier aux insuffisances de couverture de santé par les services de santé publics. Je pense que la parole maintenant est à la salle pour les personnes qui auraient des questions à nos éminents panélistes. La parole est à vous. Je ne sais pas s'il y a des questions. Oui? OK, on va commencer par français. Ouais. Comment on va faire ça pour la traduction? Non. Français et anglais. Ah, français, anglais.
Maybe the questions should be after.
After, you have to speak.
After, OK. Donc, pendant qu'on règle le problème de la traduction, on va permettre à de poser sa question. Oui. You can speak. You did? OK. Donc, first. Non. Voilà. En français. Non, c'est bon, allez-y.
OK.
C'est bon.
Moi, c'est Dr Omar Diallo, World Vision Mali. Je remercie l'ensemble des panélistes. Ma question, c'est qu'est-ce qu'il faut faire pour impliquer davantage les hommes dans la vaccination. On sait que de façon générale, les soins de santé, en particulier la vaccination, sachant que la décision n'appartient pas à la femme, même si la femme elle est instruite, elle est autonome, souvent, en tout cas dans nos réalités, nous au Mali et dans beaucoup de pays, je sais que la décision d'amener l'enfant dans un centre de santé appartient à l'homme. Et qu'est-ce qu'il faut faire pour davantage impliquer les hommes? Merci.
Merci beaucoup pour votre question. Elle s'adresse aux trois panélistes.
De façon générale, mais voilà.
All right. Thank you. That's a very good question.
Merci beaucoup. On va prendre au moins 5 questions. Vous pouvez passer le micro.
Thank you. I'm Dinas Kasungami from the Global Child Health Task Force. I'm really fascinated to hear about the place of women, but also thinking about the women you talk about who do not have the power. Because they do not have the power, they do not have the knowledge, they won't come up and assert themselves. I want you to link it to the point about accountability. How do women without power hold anyone accountable for what they need, but they are not getting from the systems and the processes? They are excluded. Thank you.
I can take the second one. You take the first.
Thank you very much. Indeed, women don't have the power, which is why in many of our communities, in one particular community I had at the time, the women were supposed to take the children for immunization. And because it was appearing as if the women were becoming too popular, every time people come to the community, they want to talk to women every time. So the men said, nobody's going. And that's it. But guess what? Strategy. It's called strategy. So we had a program called Fathers Immunize. We had a conversation with the women, told us, look, I won't be able to go because this is the issue. I don't have the power. But let's do something with the men in mind. And we called it Fathers Immunize. I remember one of our women advocates for vaccine access, they were the ones that funded that particular program. And then we called the men. And then we talked to them about vaccination, how important they are, how all those things became clear. And then how the women, how the children are important, how they are the most important. Because at the end of the day, we're third world. The men are the heads of the family. The women are not, for now. And then we have a focus on how to make these things possible so that we achieve our goal. And it worked. In a community that refused immunization, now they're taking immunization. In a community that did not want the women to be empowered, now the women are being empowered. And secondly, we have a program called an insurance program. And in that, it's a government insurance. In that insurance program, Basic Healthcare Provision Fund, you're supposed to fund the most vulnerable. And then women are aligned as one of the most vulnerable. But we find that in the insurance is the men, their names were the ones, Shally in certain states. So, and then when we asked why, the men said, I'm the head of the home, so is my wife, she can still. And then he said, supposing you change your wife, supposing you divorce, supposing something happens, supposing you are at work and something happens, your child will die. Supposing at the end of the day, is how to craft it. You have to be ingenious to be able to get what you want. And it worked. We have to continue to call it out. We have to continue to explain. We have to continue to remind. We can't stop talking. If I say it, you say it, she says it, government says it. And then we have different strategies. There was another one we did, a communique with all the chiefs, 40 chiefs, for them to say, we will support, we will make sure that we do not have gender-based violence. And they all signed it and said, we support. They spoke it. So once you continue to call, it's work in progress. There's no one single solution. You have to keep continuing. And it's contextual from one community to the other. Some communities are easier than others. Sorry.
Merci beaucoup pour votre contribution.
Maybe I can just answer Maybe I
Okay.
can just a few minutes.
Okay.
I think we have to hold our policymakers and our government accountable.
Yes.
And we can be the voices of our women. Healthcare workers can be voices of our women. Health advocates can be voices of our women. You know, partners, international organization, global bodies can all be voices of our women. And then you empower the women and they can have voices. It's empowerment that gives women voices. So empower them so they can have their own voices. But all other stakeholders can be their voices. But we must hold our governments and our policymakers responsible and accountable.
Merci beaucoup. Professor, un dernier mot.
Okay, so I would only say that empowerment is so important that we empower the woman. And once we empower the woman with the right information, right time, there is no way that she'll stop from seeking help. Listen, the family also supports the woman. And if the woman has right information, the mother-in-law, the sister-in-law, the husband all work together. So lack of information makes the family retrogressive. But if you have right information, there will be progression throughout. So we have to ensure that at the national level to provide right information, not only about disease, but what we can get from the system and hold the system accountable.
Merci beaucoup. Je retiens de cette session qu'il faut de la volonté politique, il faut l'autonomisation des femmes, il faut le leadership des femmes, il faut l'implication de toute la communauté, des hommes, dans la prise en charge de la santé de la mère et de l'enfant. Il faut également briser les obstacles dans l'accès aux soins de santé des mères et des enfants. Merci beaucoup à nos éminents panélistes. Merci à tout le monde pour votre contribution, pour votre disponibilité, pour nous écouter. Et bonne suite à tout le monde. Merci.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you, madam. Oops. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.